Well, to look at some of these issues and more, let's go over to Abuja. Markwe?
Well, thank you, Chamberlain. I have joining us in the studio now Mr. Audu Siyaka, who is a financial analyst with over 2 decades of experience in the banking sector. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily this morning.
Thank you.
Good morning. So looking at, the president and his vice, his deputy, have been going on about, illicit financial flows. The latest action the president has taken on this matter is to sign an agreement, some bilateral agreements with certain countries to ensure that whatever monies found there are repatriated back, and we can also get the people who are said to be behind this back into the country to be able to face justice. What are your thoughts? I mean, what was in your mind when you first of all came across this particular story?
Thank you very much, Mopeogu. If you could still recollect, late last 2015, our president traveled across the countries, so many countries, to visit them on this particular issue. Notable among those countries are United Arab Emirates. That was late 2015, and just a few days ago, and the president signed those treaties into law, especially like the extradition of illegal loot that were stashed in United Arab Emirates. Those in the past, those days, we don't have such law with United Arab Emirates. The only thing there is that if anybody has an illegal asset stashed in UAE, the government of UAE needs the property of that asset, of that property to consent to it before any investigating agency can go into it. But with the signing of this particular treaty now, it makes things very easy and an easy flow for Nigeria to have any suspected looted assets. So
it's definitely something that you're happy about?
Yes, of course. Every woman in Nigeria should be happy about it because as we are here, without even telling anybody, even a child, and their mother knows that the country is facing a very serious financial calamity because of corruption. We know what actually corruption has done to Nigeria as a whole. Because I'm not a small boy today, I'm like about 50 years now today. I knew how I enjoyed this country, even through my primary days and secondary school days. I knew how I have free textbooks, that when things are working. But all of a sudden, things have started changing. We're all suffering in misery, we're suffering in plenty, which I think is not good for us.
And it's very worrisome. I mean, we understand that about $50 to $80 billion is leaving Africa as a whole, and majority of the money leaving Africa in terms of financial, in terms of illicit funds leaving the continent is from Nigeria. And now, the federal government is really worried about this. They're also coming up with a number of measures. They're looking at taxes. They're also they're talking to the banks as well. You have had experience working in the banks. Do you think that the banks are doing enough to curb this movement of illicit funds?
Yes, I think we are, because the little experience I gathered from the bank was that we had, those days, a person, any customer, any person can just walk to the bank and claim to bear any name. The bank has no option than to open an account for that such person. But a little amendment was made, as well as know your customer, claiming to be a customer will come. We have to go further to ask him or her, can I have your driving license or international passport as a way of knowing your customer? You have to still go further to even know his own home, where he operates. If anything happens, can only be traced. So it's a welcome development. Bank have been trying a bit, but I still advise that the Central Bank of Nigeria should step up the game, because there is no corruption that happens in the public sector without the private sector involvement. To still need a lot has to be done on that particular aspect.
What do you want them to be doing? Because people will ask, how come is it that this Know Your Customer had been introduced before now, but the humongous amounts of money we're hearing left in the last couple of years, in the last 5, 6, 7 years, this country alone, being traced to shell companies abroad. You remember the Panama Papers, yes, and how some Nigerians were fingered in that as well. Yes. You have to ask, if the banks are truly doing enough, if they're not just doing a surface treatment, how come these monies are still leaving the country?
Let me still enter that the Central Bank of Nigeria is the bank that supervises all commercial banks or other banks at all in Nigeria. They have to still step up their game to make sure that they do what they're supposed to do. It depends, again, the kind of government or governance we have at the top. That is the presidency and other enforcement agencies to step up the game and do their work where it's supposed to be. Because ordinarily we have like a monthly. If a customer withdraws a certain sum of money that is more or beyond the requirement, a bank is expected to return to send such return to central bank or NFIU, which they in turn will step up, move fast to see how they can track this, and it's not what we are expecting today. If you look at the Senate before they went on their annual recess, they have signed the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Agency. It was an NFIU under EFCC. And because this particular case came up because of the temporary suspension given by the Egmont Group, that was why that particular agency had been signed. So until when they come back, maybe the House of Rep may concur to such a bill. So if that actually is done, it's for the agencies to have unhindered access to financial transactions that they can easily spread along with other countries worldwide. That's how it is.
Do you think they were coordinating enough? I mean, there are different actions being taken by government agencies. I mean, you just heard, the senators concerned about the NFIU being suspended by the Egmont Group because of what happened. They said that the EFCC was having too much of an overbearing influence on the NFIU. But then you also, that's the action taken by the legislature, as it were. Then you also have the EFCC, still trying to investigate financial flows. The president has just signed a treaty. Sometimes you see a meeting among bankers in terms of seeing how they can help out here. But do you think that all of these moves are coordinated?
Yes, they are. When you are working in such a manner,